Hi, Carl here for ProAV TV. I'm at IBC 2019 over on the Sony stand talking to Klaus about their new FX9 camcorder. So, Klaus, an FX9. This is quite exciting, right?
It is very exciting. It's a big launch for us, but I hope that we have listened well to the users, to cameramen, to camera women, and have taken in all their feedback that they have given us throughout the last couple of years with FS7, FS7 Mark II, and we put all of this feedback into this camera.
So we've already released a video on the channel, so if you haven't seen the video we've just released on the FX9 and its specs, make sure you go and watch that one. So for this we won't need to run through all the nitty-gritty and the tech details, but you mentioned a lot of this was designed on sort of user feedback. So what bits of feedback were really important, do you think, for Sony when making the decisions you've made with the FX9?
One is, for example, that we had many people saying that they like to do 4K video, but they have difficulties to do the focus. Yeah. So one thing that we improved the viewfinder, actually, has a higher resolution now, so it makes it easier to focus. But, and more important probably, is the autofocus system. That's a face-based autofocus system, and that is enabling and actually taking quite a lot of technology from the Alpha range, Alpha 7 range, with all the pixels that are specially made for autofocus, and enabling them to use in a similar manner like they are used for with Alpha 9 or Alpha 7.
So is it a different autofocus system to ones that are in A7?
No, it is very similar, very similar. Obviously optimized for video.
Right,
because
so just fine tweaked and tuned.
Absolutely, because here you need also the speed to be slower in order for your video shoot to be doing the focus in the way that you want to capture, while on photo cameras it obviously always has to be very quick. So that's the big difference.
I think adding professional level autofocus is going to be a big deal, especially as you move towards full frame and larger resolutions, like you said with 4K. Yeah. Nailing focus is going to be so critical.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you always have to use autofocus.
Oh, sure.
Of course. But there are a lot of applications, a lot of conditions where autofocus is perfect. If you have a lot of people moving, maybe you have a concert on stage somewhere where something is moving and it's difficult to control, maybe it's very dark.
I tend to use it a lot just for interviews.
Absolutely.
So just as somebody naturally moves, it tracks with them.
Absolutely. For this, autofocus is perfect.
Absolutely. So a lot of people are asking about the 6K element here. So it's got a 6K large format sensor, but it doesn't record the 6K, it only records UHD, so not DCI, UHD. What's some of the thinking there from Sony's point of view? Well,
obviously, with every sensor choice, you need to balance requirements. So full frame, the shallow depth of field, the different view the image can be with full frame. That was our goal. At the same time, you need to look at the dynamic range, you need to look at the sensitivity of the sensor, and you need to look at what kind of resolution you need for that, and also if you want to kind of move or crop into the sensor. So taking all of this into account, we came to the conclusion that it's best to use a 6K sensor that is oversampling the 4K image, so you will always get a very good-looking 4K image. But on the other hand, the individual pixels are big enough, still big enough, to have a good sensitivity. And full frame is 6K. If you then go into Super 35 modes, it's still 4K. So that's a good balance between the two, and the reason why we went for 6K.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It means you can use this like an FS7 if you want to.
Absolutely, and in some requirements, some shootings, you go for full frame, and can use the different look that full frame can create.
So a lot of people are very familiar with the FS7. It's been a hugely successful camera for you. But this isn't obviously your first full-frame large format sensor. There's also the Venice, which is an incredible cinematography camera. Do you guys see this more as a sort of full-frame FS7 or more as a mini Venice, if you like?
It's definitely made for documentary. So it is the big brother, the step-up model from the FS7, made for run-and-gun type application. For one person, you take that on the shoulder, you grab it, you instantly shoot. While Venice was made for teams. You have the first AC, you have the DOP, they need different look and feel. It's a different way of working.
It's a very different mentality, I suppose, when you're designing the camera.
Absolutely. And also Venice doesn't have any autofocus. It's all manual, while this has. Venice has the 8 steps ND filters. Here you have the electronic variable ND filter. Also here, different requirements.
Absolutely. So people moving from the FS7 up to this, I mean, how big of a difference in image quality do you think people are going to see?
You will see a big difference in low lights. So the sensitivity of that sensor is much better. Well, much better. It is better.
Okay.
But you will be able to capture images that were not possible with FS7 before.
I imagine it'll be better for just normal daylight shooting as well, because on the FS7 you were limited to 2000 ISO in Cine.
Absolutely.
Just simply having 800 as an option on a native ISO would be brilliant.
Native ISO, right? This dual ISO is a good option, but also the color science. And here, back to your question, we have taken some of the learnings that we had with Venice and put the color science into the FX9. So what we call S-Cinetone, that is giving a better skin reproduction.
Okay.
And that is something, the learning we had from Venice, that has now gone into FX9.
So with minimal effort, you're going to get much better skin tones.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you.